Hi guys! I hope you enjoyed your water. I know I did. Our next speaker explores some of the latest trends he sees across China and the rest of the ASEAN region. Dialing in from Hong Kong, Anson Bailey will share with us some of the latest technologies and innovations that we can expect to see in the retail arena over the weeks and months ahead. Anson joined KPMG in Hong Kong in 1999. He is a part of KPMG's Regional Consumer and Retail Practice Leadership Team and a member of the Global Technology Innovation Center. Ladies and gentlemen, Anson will be coming up next. Please stay tuned and we will be back shortly.
Hi, everyone. Good morning to you. Great to be part of the Smart Retail virtual conference this week. My name's Anson Bailey. I am the head of consumer and retail for Asia Pacific for KPMG. So it's great to be with you. And I really wanted to share with you some of my thoughts around what we see in the market. And my presentation is on the rise of tech and innovation in a new digital retail era. So at KPMG, just very briefly, last summer, in the height of COVID-19, we were really looking at the changing consumer behaviors. We embarked on a series of surveys covering 75,000 global consumers around the world, in Europe, in the Americas, and across Asia Pacific. And we did that over a 4-month period over the summer. We have got lots of great insights to share with everybody. The QR codes are on the page. But the 4 trends that I just wanted to mention to everybody here today is that, of course, there is an economic impact with COVID-19, but we certainly saw the rise of digital. And I think it's fair to say that we have seen an acceleration of everything digital in the last 12 months. Equally, consumers are now watching the brands very carefully, and there has been, I think, an erosion of trust. You know, the consumers are watching you and they're asking questions like, are you actually walking the talk? You know, do they really believe in what you're doing? And also, home is the new hub. That was definitely something that we heard a lot about. So we're in this new normal today, and we're going to see different speeds emerge. We, of course, have seen the rise of live streaming. I'm going to come back to that, but the likes of TikTok with 800 million monthly active users, those numbers are amazing. Of course, international travel is pretty much ground to a halt, but in certain places like China, it continues. And back in the Golden Week holidays in October, we saw 637 million domestic trips across China. Equally, governments here in Asia Pacific, they are discussing about travel zones, travel bubbles, travel passes. So over the next few months, I think we are going to see the emergence of short haul returning. And retailers themselves now are absolutely driving new tech and new innovation with a particular focus on customer, but with the use of AI and VR and AR, and of course data. Do we understand all of that customer data and new technologies like 5G? Equally, retail sales, e-commerce in China and the rest of the region, they are continuing. And I do think we are going to see this shifting trend of the rise of those Chinese consumers, as well as the rise of those ASEAN consumers in the months ahead. Equally, we are now going to have to compete in this mobile first world. I mentioned already that COVID-19 has accelerated everything digitally. And we can see, of course, in places like China, internet users are at all-time high. Equally, platforms are growing. We're seeing the rise of the platform economy. 2.5 billion people are using Alipay and Tencent. Equally, mobile payments are going gangbusters, 801 million across China. And of course, everybody today has a smartphone. So new trends and developments, we're definitely going to see retail e-commerce sales growth worldwide. And I think the interesting thing here is if we look at Asia Pacific, it actually has grown the smallest, 15.5%. Now, I think there's a couple of reasons behind that. One, of course, is China is already on steroids. It's already going gangbusters in this new retail commerce environment. But it also tells me that there's a huge potential in the months and the years ahead. Equally, we're seeing shopping festivals that are going to continue to gain momentum. We hear a lot, of course, about Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but here in Asia, we also, of course, got really major shopping festivals like Singles Day, 11/11. And if we look at Singles Day, 11/11, we saw last year GMV almost doubled, 85.6%. 250,000 brands participated. And a lot of the big international brands were also winners as well. And I spoke to the L'Oreal team, and they were telling me that over 50% of their business now is already online across China. Tech drivers for 2021. Well, you know, obviously, we've been talking a lot about millennials, but the next generation coming up, of course, is the Gen Zs. I have a teenage son. He is absolutely a digital native. And I'm sure anybody else with teenage kids will tell you that they are all digital natives. And of course, they sleep with their mobile phones. But I think the interesting thing is, of course, in places like China, we've got hundreds of millions of millennials. But what's interesting is this next generation, 170 million Gen Z consumers. And that mirror is going to continue across the rest of Asia. We're going to see the rise of these Gen Zs. And of course, as we know with the Gen Zs, they have a growing fondness for live streaming. So that's definitely something that we see all of our clients now having to focus in on. Equally, if we want to talk about some of the retail tech and innovation, we're going to see the rise of bots. Meet one of the, meet Rice Robotics from out of Hong Kong. And they have a number of robots in terms of concierge service, but also in terms of cleaning and providing disinfecting those public and retail areas as well. So we're going to continue to see automation rise across that retail space. Equally, unmanned automated retail stores. We heard a lot about the Amazon Go stores in the last couple of years, but equally across the region, I think we can see more of these automated stores emerge. Equally, we're going to see retail product manufacturing that's going to be changed by the likes of digital twin simulations. And again, I think this is quite a new area, but in smart cities, we're already seeing all of these digital twins emerge. So we can expect to see more of that in the future. Equally, I talked a little bit about earlier on about augmented reality, as well, of course, as virtual reality. We are going to have those digital avatars, the digital try-on, the online virtual showrooms. All of this technology right now is being commercialized. I also just want to talk about, just a moment, about travel retail as well, because I think a big question is, are we going to see people traveling between Kuala Lumpur and Bangkok and Hong Kong and Singapore and Shanghai and those other Asian cities? I do believe that that short haul travel will start to return in the summer, and hopefully we'll be able to physically travel a little bit more. But of course, in China, they've not been stopping, and they've also been looking at developing the likes of Hainan Island. And, you know, now that has become a major bright spot in terms of everything around travel retail. They've tripled the allowances in duty free from 30,000 renminbi to 100,000 renminbi. And then, of course, the top travel destinations across China includes Hainan Island as well. I also just want to talk a little bit about some of the KPMG papers that we have been putting out in the last few months. We did a very interesting paper looking at the future of sourcing, the future of supply chains. And I think what we are going to see, of course, is organizations now need to use and leverage all of this new digital technology. That's going to be really, really important. So AI and blockchain, all of those areas now, they are going to have an impact on all of our supply chains. Equally, we're going to see these new global digital supply chain services hubs emerge. Hong Kong is actually going to be one of them, but what we are seeing is we're going to see more regionalization. We're going to see more diversification. So manufacturing is not just in China anymore, but it will be across ASEAN and South Asia. We are going to see a lot more of those fashion brands looking at having a more distributed model moving forward. Equally, the rise of things like ESG reporting and sustainability, they're going to be very hot. And equally, I just want to talk a little bit about RCEP. This is the new trade agreement that was signed off in November 15, 2020, across the 10 ASEAN bloc countries, along with Japan, South Korea, China, as well as Australia and New Zealand. It's the creation of a new free trade zone, which has or encompasses a third of the world's population. It has 29% global GDP right now, but that's going to rise to nearly 50% by 2030. We are going to see the harmonization of these supply chains. We are going to see the elimination of a range of tariffs on imports over the next few years. And certainly areas such as e-commerce, the movement of people, these are really going to be big. And again, these are happening right now, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take us the next few years, but some really exciting developments ahead. Equally, when I'm talking to my retail clients, there's a lot of the brands, a lot of the retailers that are talking about their plans to have a net zero commitment in the future. They really want to reach those net zero supply chains, simplifying those supply chains, and how can they minimize their footprint? These are all things that we're going to have to be thinking about in the future. And as I said, we are going to see a more sustainable supply chain as well in the future. Track and traceability, that's another big area that we are going to see. And with new technology like AI and blockchain, that's really going to help us a lot in the months and years ahead. Equally, reimagining those supply chains. At KPMG, we have a team that's looking at the origins. We're looking at the track and traceability of all of those food products, for example, products in general. Food safety is going to be really paramount in the future, and your consumers are going to demand more transparency across their supply chains as well. Something else I just want to mention to everybody is that we are going to see some really interesting developments around, as I said, things like AI. And at KPMG, we've been partnering with our good friends at Google and Google Cloud to look at these future smarter digital cities. And just really wanted to share with you a couple of things that, that we've seen, because Google commissioned KPMG to really look at this research around, AI for everyone. What does it mean from a business perspective, but also from a consumer perspective as well? And I think the key message is that residents are actually very positive about AI. It's actually on the readiness index, it's at 50 marks. And if we look at the equally for businesses as well, business is coming in at 56, and businesses are equally optimistic and willing to invest in areas such as AI. And, again, for example, here in Hong Kong, those businesses believe AI is beneficial because it can help them to improve quality, efficiency, optimization, and also, more importantly, it can really help them to improve their customer experience in the future. And we're going to see, I think, a very big focus on everything around customers and following those customers on their journeys. Equally, when we look at the different sectors, finance are in the lead in terms of AI readiness, retail is at the back, but I'm very confident that retail will catch up in the months ahead. And our friends at Google were also looking at the data, a lot of that Google data as well, in terms of shoppers making more purchases online. And if you look at things like food and groceries before COVID-19, 21%, during COVID-19, 60%. If you look at the personal care, it went from 27% to 49%. And that story is across all of the sectors. So we are now seeing the flight to digital. We are seeing a lot of those consumers now getting more comfortable with the move to digital. And we've seen a massive surge in those pure play e-commerce ecosystems. Obviously, in places like Hong Kong TV Mall have seen a massive uptick in the grocery online retailing. But if you look at Lazada, if you look at Shopee, Amazon, and all of the other players, they've all seen a very healthy increase in business. But it's not just a bed of roses. It's not all a bed of roses. There's a lot of challenges that have emerged. And I can certainly see a lot of issues around supply chain and logistics disruption. That's going to continue. Inventory, restocking delays, longer delivery wait times. These are all things that we need to sort out if we want to really keep e-commerce at the top of mind. Now, I did want to mention to everybody that at KPMG, we have been very busy. We've been doing a lot of these global surveys. I mentioned consumers in the new reality with literally over 75,000 global consumers. But we've also just put out a brand new piece of thought leadership looking at the future of retail. And again, the QR codes are there. Please feel free to check them out. But in short, what I wanted to share with you is the word retail in the future is likely to become redundant. And we think it's going to be replaced by this term of consumer commerce. And we see probably around 7 types of business models that are going to emerge as the winners going forward. Obviously, it's no surprise that platform businesses are going to be the go-to-market channels for not just B2C, but also for B2B markets. Equally, those multinational retailers, they're going to transform into business platforms as well, and we can expect perhaps more M&A in that space. National heroes from around the region, they're going to focus on those cross-border partnerships to create synergies and scales. Of course, the value-based retailers, we commonly refer to them as the discounters. They are going to evolve their entire online proposition as well. Smaller country-focused brands, excuse me, there is, I think, a real need for localization. And I think we are going to see a lot more consumers looking at those local brands as well. Talking about the category specialists and, of course, those independent mutuals as well. Now, I just want to come back because our friends at Google have also been very busy. And we did the AI for Everyone adoption report with the Google team. But they've also been working on a whole bunch of other research using some of the latest Google data. And this is from their Google Economy Southeast Asia report for 2020. And I just want to make a point here that new users are coming online at a very quick pace. Last year, 40 million new internet users were added alone. Those numbers are not going down. They are increasing every single day. Equally, the internet economy is going to emerge ever stronger. And we're going to see an unprecedented move towards digital services. We are going to see this internet economy hitting $100 billion. We're going to see more and more investment in technology. A lot of my big clients, the big corporate clients, as well as the smaller SMEs now are starting to invest more in technology. And why is that? It's because they don't want to get left behind. They don't want to see this digital divide emerge, because we are going to see companies that don't do this, they are going to get left behind. So adoption, acceptance, and user hyper accelerated for both the consumers as well as the SMEs. And of course, we're going to continue to see very healthy market competition. It's not just the big guys. We are already seeing the emergence of platforms in Malaysia and Singapore and Indonesia and Thailand, across the whole of Southeast Asia as well. Now, just in my closing remarks, I just wanted to mention to everybody that KPMG continues to put out a lot of our own research and learnings from the market, both from a global perspective as well as a regional perspective. I just wanted to let you know that we are also teaming up with our friends at Inside Retail, which is the daily online retail magazine. But we are going to be working and supporting Inside Retail on their next Asian Retail Outlook 2021 report, exploring a lot of those retail trends. We've in fact already been working with Inside Retail on their Australian Retail Outlook report for 2021. And the launch date for that is at the end of May. Equally, we're also going to be doing a new future of digital retail paper, for example, here in Hong Kong, and looking at the Greater Bay Area as we see the rise of those more digitally savvy, tech savvy and digitally minded consumers as well. So again, check out those reports. We'll be more than happy to, of course, share all of that material with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, because I promised to make sure we keep the time under control for you this morning. But in conclusion, perhaps 5 areas I just want to remind everybody about. Number 1, emerging technologies are here. They are being commercialized right now. AI and blockchain, that is going to revolutionize everything around the supply chains, those global supply chains. 3D virtual technology, AR, VR, they are here. So again, make use of them. Innovation is going to be critical for the future, but we have to focus on talent development. A lot of my clients are telling me that they also need to upskill and reskill their current workforce. They've got to ensure they equip them with those new digital AI and analytics skills moving forward. Equally, the rise of purpose. This is interesting, I think, for all of us, because we are going to see a greater focus on ESG and sustainability. We've heard a lot of things around climate change and the need to go to net zero, the need for us to decarbonize all of our supply chains. And the consumers are really going to be watching you. Your investors are going to be watching you. The media are going to be watching you, just like Star Media Group. You know, everybody now is paying attention to this area. We also need to have a new mindset from a customer point of view, right? We have to follow them on their journeys. We have to get ready for this increased transparency. And as I said, you have to get ready for these changing consumer behaviors, because this is the new normal and we are not going to go back to the old normal. And finally, as I mentioned, we're going to see this the shifting focus to the Chinese and ASEAN markets. And we've already seen this speed of change with more digitally minded consumers, especially those young millennials, especially the growing number of the Gen Zs. They are here. This is the new normal. So you've got to think customer as well. You've got to be customer centric. So ladies and gentlemen, these are some of my key points. It really has been a pleasure to talk to you at this Smart Retail virtual conference this morning. I'd like to thank the Star Media Group for putting on an excellent event. Feel free to check out our various KPMG reports. And equally, if you want to talk to any of our professionals, you know, our team at KPMG Malaysia, they are only too happy to sit down and talk with you about all of these issues around digital transformation, ESG sustainability, and of course, new retail tech innovation and areas such as cybersecurity. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, thank you all very much. Great to be with you. Stay safe and stay well, and enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you. Take care. Bye.